With the CPI news on Tuesday, Fed rate announcement Wednesday, and our local housing data, it's going to be a jam-packed update, and you'll want to hear about a few of Zillow's bold predictions for 2023 housing market. Real quick, if you have any questions, want to discuss your real estate plans, you can book a time to chat with me on my link below. Also, we love feedback, so make sure you give us a thumbs up and comment below. All right, let's dive in. You've heard it all week. The CPI, or Consumer Price Index, rose 0.1% in November. So what in the world is CPI anyway? The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics defines it as a measure of the average change over time in the prices paid by urban consumers for a market basket of consumer goods and services. This includes consumer expenditures like food, beverage, housing, apparel, and other goods and services. Obviously, the small increase in the CPI month over month was celebrated in the markets because it may be an indicator that we're starting to turn the corner on this nasty inflation that's impacting everyone on a daily basis. And that leads me to the Fed announcement on Wednesday. The Fed announced, as expected, 50 basis points rate hike on Wednesday. It wasn't a shocker, but this commentary was what everyone paid attention to. The mortgage interest rates had already had this most recent rate hike built into their rate sheets, so there wasn't this big mortgage interest rate hike. With the CPI data for December and the lower Fed rate hike, mortgage interest rates seem on a very slow decline. We'll have to see if this holds, and more importantly, if the January CPI data shows that the Fed's actions are indeed getting inflation under control. Here's a quote from Freddie Mac on December 15th. Mortgage rates continued their downward trajectory this week, as softer inflation data and modest shift in the Federal Reserve's monetary policy reverberated through the economy. The good news for the housing market is that recent declines in rates have led to a stabilization in purchase demand. The bad news is that demand remains very weak in the face of affordability hurdles that are still quite high. You can see from this data tracking since December 1st that rates have been on a modest decline, and that's good news for consumers. The big question is how this is affecting our local housing market. We're going to look at three stats this week to understand the dynamics of this late 2022 housing market. The three stats are prices, percentage of sales with a seller concession, and inventory. All right, prices. The median sold price of single-family homes decreased 1.4% from October 2022, with a median sold price of $850,000. So what made the sold prices decrease from last month? Sellers are having to factor in the higher interest rates into their asking price, and by doing this, they were selling at 98.7% of the asking price. When I report about December stats in January, I'm very interested to see how the modest lowering of interest rates may have encouraged buyers even in this holiday season. Stat number 2, seller credits. Our team did some research and discovered 24% of sellers provided a closing cost credit with an average credit to the buyer of $11,338. A seller closing cost credit can be used by the purchaser to offset closing costs, prepaid items, or discount points to buy down the rate. There are limits, so reach out to our team so we can share with you what the max seller contributions are for each loan type, and make sure to talk with a reputable lender to use the seller credit wisely. We'll definitely keep an eye on the percentage of seller credits to see if this trend continues through the holidays. All right, number 3, inventory. Let's take a look at this chart for a minute. The inventory of homes decreased from October to November by almost 17%. What's happening here? I said this last month, so this is to be expected this time of year. So life changes with jobs, parents making moves due to school choices for their kiddos, or just right-sizing locally or around the nation are still going to take place this upcoming spring. Our team starts to experience the spring market just about the same time as the Super Bowl. However, I've been saying this all year long, and it's worth repeating. So many homeowners have refinanced their current home in the past 3 years with historically low interest rates. So it's going to be hard to consider selling their property if their mortgage is low. Zillow made a few bold predictions that seem like it could happen in 2023. One of them is called a surge in first-time landlords. The record low mortgage rates of 2020 and 2021 spurred lots of investment in second houses, especially from mom and pop investors getting their second property. As rent growth continues its aggressive pace, many of these second homes have an even better potential to yield regular rental income above mortgage payments fixed with the record low rates. I wouldn't consider us as a second home market, but we are in the DMV with a strong job market, and there are plenty of homeowners that have outgrown their current homes and are ready to get into larger properties. The second projection Zillow made that I'd like to highlight is buying with friends and family will gain momentum. A Zillow survey fielded this spring found that among successful recent homebuyers, 18% had purchased along with a friend or relative who wasn't their spouse or partner, and 19% of prospective homebuyers intending to buy with a friend or relative in the next 12 months. If this conversation is a part of your holiday parties and dinners, then I would definitely discuss this with your financial planner and even an attorney to make sure all parties clearly know the exit strategy when or if you decide to sell the property in the future. Until next time.